Alrighty, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to episode 5 of making an FPS in UE4, and in this episode we're going to be covering how to aim down sights. So, first thing we need to do is, I need to move my mic a little further away from myself. Alright, first thing we need to do is go into our blueprints folder, weapons, and BP Weapon Master. And we're going to open this up, and in the Gun Master, we need to, go to the viewport, and we need to add a camera. Now, this is what we're going to do for every weapon, and when we set up other weapons, I'll demonstrate how to do this per weapon. But we're going to add a camera component, and what we can do to this is, oh, sorry, it's already selected. We can just rotate it 90 degrees this way, and I'm going to get it down to scale about probably 0.1, I'd say. Lock that, and I already have the positioning that I want for it on my other monitor. I've positioned it out, and it looks pretty good when you're aiming. And so obviously you can really position that to whatever you want, if you don't like the way it looks, or if you do like the way it looks. And of course, if you're having multiple weapons or in different weapons than what I'm using here today, you're gonna have to position this on your own, and I will teach you guys how to position it in a moment, but for now we're just gonna leave it like that for the purposes of what we're going to do. Okay, so Control-Shift-S and save everything. Now let's go back to our player character here, open him up. And we need to set up our input action for secondary. Let's comment some of the stuff that we have right here, just to be organized. This is tick. Set muzzle rotation is what it is. Change fire mode or weapon mode, whatever. If we designate, like, have different weapons and have different functions for different weapons, we don't necessarily have to designate that weapon mode button to be fire mode switch. You can designate that to different stuff. If you had like a sword and you wanted it to do a special move or something. Let's see, weapon mode. I did mo. Cool. Okay. And let's see, comment this out. This is, oops. Come on, I'm being sloppy today. Weapon primary. Okay, now we can get, go somewhere around here and get weapon secondary. And that's what we're gonna, and that's right click as we bind, as we set up the binding earlier in the series. But this is how we're going to aim. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drag this off, and is valid for now. Oh, wrong thing. And we're gonna set this up something a bit more complicated, not complicated, but more detailed, and have some more stuff in here later. But then we need to create a new variable that is going to be a bool. We're just going to call it is aiming ? Alt drag out here to set it. If it's valid, we're going to start aiming, and then we're going to call the function, because we're going to make a function called aim down sights. Now what we need to do is, in this function, set up a few things. So first of all, we're going to deactivate our current first-person perspective camera, and we need to create a second camera. So on on the mesh, add component, and where are we? Add a camera, and we're going to call this ADS cam. Control drag that over and activate this. I realize we'll set this macro up whenever we do item and object interaction, like picking stuff up. But Anyways, for now, what we're going to do is get camera, world location. And we're going to then get this cam and its world location. And we want to vinterp to, because we're going to have a smooth transition from the location of the first-person perspective to the gun, because we don't actually have an animation to move it. We're just going to kind of trick that movement, and you'll see the result here. And the target is going to be the world location of the camera on the gun. Now the delta time, we're going to get world delta seconds. And the interp speed, I personally have it set to 15. You can play around with that. Lower, slower, higher is faster. Just pretty standard rules. Or no, the other way around. Excuse me, I believe. Actually, I always forget it. Yeah. Anyways, I always second guess myself. It's one of those things where I just end up playing with it, and then I'm like, okay, here's the direction. And then we're going to. Oh, I duplicated this. I'm silly. We need to also get the rotation of this and interpolate that as well. Our interp to. And delta time 15 seconds, and then we need to set world lock and rot to these, and and then the target needs to be, or at least the rotation needs to be the world rotation of the camera there. Okay, so now that's set up. Now we need to make a new function for unaiming. Unaim. I need to set world lock rot of the ADS cam. So we need to do another vinterp to. And then an rinterp to. The current, we're going to get aim cam, ADS world location. The target is, let's get the first person, get transform. Excuse me, I'm just having a moment. And so what this does, this is the unaiming, so we're getting the current location and rotation of the ADS cam, which should be at the gun's camera aimed location, and then we're interpolating it back to the first person. Then, once once this is equal to this, and the margin of error I have set up on my personal project is 0.1. You could do 0.05 or 0.01, like however. It doesn't matter. It's just pretty much saying like really, really close to the point where you're most likely not going to tell. And then branch and okay. So there's that. And what that means is keep interpolating. It's gonna interpolate and wait to do this, or wait to do this next part until these are pretty much at the exact same location. and that will pretty much look like us looking at down the gun sights and then back into our first-person perspective. And then once those two cameras are practically aligned, then we're going to grab this guy, deactivate the aim camera, and activate the first-person perspective camera. Sure, set active. Did I not? Set active actor component. I don't like how that did that. Hold on. I'll just grab this. Activate. Excuse me for all my vocal fry. I'm pulling an Adam Neely. So then, of course, then this looks like just snapping back, and now we're back in the first-person cam position. So cool stuff. Oh dear, what is this not connected to? Oh, of course, we didn't compile this. It's the reason this didn't properly compile is because the other camera was not yet ready. I believe everything else that I have here is properly set up. The only thing that we haven't done is we need to just go back here, copy this. So Control W is what I did. Stop vocal frying, good lord. And then duplicate is aiming. And sorry, and check that to be not true, because of course we will have released. And then we need to add the aim down sights and unaim. And now let's take a look at what that looks like. So I'm gonna play, and okay, let us take a look. Okay, so I found some of my issues. So first of all, I did not have the delta time set up to either of these, nor did I have the interpolation speed, so we need both of these to be set to 15. And the world delta seconds connected to both of the delta times. They were not a part of me. And then the second thing is on our tick, we need to, this is why we put multiple sequences here, we need to branch. Aiming. Alright. In that case, if we are, aim down sights. If we are not, unaim. So really we don't need them right here. And that's about the extent of that code. Now if we play, alright, looks like it's a little forward. So here's what I meant by I'll show you. So if you disconnect your released, this is how I'm going to, like I said, show you how to align. If you disconnect your release, you right-click and it immediately just stays. If you let go, it's not going to unaim. So what you need to do is press Shift F1 to move your window around, and then now we can go to the BP Weapon Master. And if you set your preview to BP Weapon Master, grab this camera, and we go back here, right? I can show you that if we move this camera around, it will move the camera around in game. That's dope. Cool. Now the animation's really sloppy, and we haven't touched all the animation stuff, so don't worry about that. We'll get to that later. The aiming that I have in my personal project, which I can show you guys right here, the aiming I have in this is a lot smoother. It's still, don't have to worry about that, so don't worry. This is the point that we're going to get to. Just bear with me here. But anyways, so now we have a better line that we like. And I'd say maybe, I don't know, move it up just a tad bit, and maybe a further bit back, or a bit closer. No, actually there. Yeah, something like that'll work. And we can move around with it, and there's some culling issues, but now we can close, maximize this back, Control-Shift-S here, compile that, and then connect this right back here. And now, alright, And that is how you get a nice smooth ADS. Now, in the next episodes, we're going to be working on a lot bigger things that are going to seriously change from here on out how we actually create most things in our project. One of those big things is going to be object interaction, and we're going to have the ability to pick up our weapons. I don't know if I'll do dropping in the same episode. It'll probably be a separate episode. Just to save on, not biting off too much that you guys, or not having you guys bite off too more than you can chew. English is hard. Anyways, so yeah, that's gonna be all for this episode. Stick around for the next ones, but because they're definitely gonna, like I said, influence the project and bring in a lot of new features. So enjoy the one tutorial that I put out finally. I'm sorry it's taken me so long. I hope I can put the next one out sooner, but until then, be safe, have fun, and thanks for watching. Bye.